and common sense collide. Starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boys, CryptoKeeper, BlockchainCrusader, here coming to you live from, where am I? Somewhere
middle of nowhere.
on vacation. Middle of nowhere, that's right. I'm going to be getting bit up by bugs, but I figured I'd come on and say hello. Can't see the chat, can't see Miguel, but hey, I'm here. Here we go. Let's get it. What we got on the podium tonight, Miguel?
So we got the whole Fantom drama going on, right? Andre Freakinopolis, whatever his last name is, dropping out of crypto and leaving, and Fantom and like 25 other apps are now disappearing in the next month or so. So that's causing a lot of stir and drama.
Hold on a second. So I heard that he was stepping away from crypto. He's like the grandfather of DeFi or whatever. But what does that have to do with his apps? Like, what is he rug pulling everybody?
They're apparently going to stop supporting them. Like one of them, I believe, is chainlist.org, where you can like automatically add the different networks to your MetaMask. The website is literally saying on April 3rd or April 4th, we will no longer be live. Like they're going to take the website down. The good thing is they have the source. The code is open source, so anybody can take the code, bring it back up as their website, and support it. They're just not going to be maintaining that stuff anymore and paying for it, I guess. But outside of that, we have Sanctions as a driver for Bitcoin adoption. And to wrap up the story here, we have a possible 165K Bitcoin scenario being more likely than 22K. Will that happen?
Go.
Will that happen? We will see.
Hold on. So but just to be clear, I know we'll get into it, but it's saying 165 before 22.
Yeah, before 22K thousand Bitcoin. Right, we're going to hit 165 top, and then we're going to crash to 22K.
Sounds like a bullish case to me. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start off with a quick little market overwatch here. So, market overwatch. We've got the crypto bubbles, right? Some green. We got Wave up 27%. That's the biggest thing going on right now in crypto. Waves, not a project that I follow closely, so I don't really know anything about it. But besides that, everything else is just drastically low. Nothing's really moving around. We have. Can you guys see my screen? Oh no, you guys cannot see my screen. Hold up.
I saw the bubbles.
Yeah, I saw the bubbles. I need to share the full screen.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we got over here, Bitcoin down about 0.5%, Ethereum down almost 1%, down to 2,500, Bitcoin back above at 38,000. Right, overall, everything is down practically 20% in the last 60 days. We were up like 20% last week. Now we're down like 15%. That's the way the crypto game works, especially with all the fear and FUD. Nothing is really particularly sticking out, not in the top 10 or at least top 100 from what I'm looking at. Everything's really under 1% in the green, if that at all. So if you guys are looking for opportunities to dollar cost average, obviously not financial advice, but you should be buying when things are red, not when things are green. But, take that as you want to, because it's not financial advice.
My phone, I'm not used to being on here with my phone, and as we're speaking, my phone is like getting crypto.com alerts like Crow is down 5.61%, VeChain is down, and it's like giving me like down. It's just like slamming me as we go. But let's keep it going.
So first off, we have total value locked in Fantom plummets by 21% following devs quitting. Details. All right, so this is the whole drama. According to DeFi Llama data, as reported by a prominent crypto analyst, the TVL, total value locked, of the Fantom network dropped by 21.16% following the exit of the developers Andre Cronje, that's how you say his last name.
Yeah, that's right.
Antoine Nel. The developer of Yearn Finance and Keeper announced that he was calling it quits together with fellow software architect Antoine Nel, whatever his last name is, according to the tweet posted by the latter, yada, yada. So they're leaving, and then the Fantom dropped 21, solidly dropped by 44.61%, and Solidex dropped by 45%. So taking massive doo-doos. All right. So what I say besides this, okay, so Michael Kong, CEO of Fantom Foundation, clarified that this was misinformation. Many of you are aware of Anton, who works with Andre, tweeted that they were terminating 25 projects. This is misunderstood. Okay. They are terminating their involvement, but handing over anything they've run to the existing teams. So that is good clarification, right? That was a lot of misinformation happening. They said that the price of Yearn Finance token collapsed roughly 13% since the announcement, but has since paired some losses. The cryptocurrency attracted plenty of DeFi, yada, yada, yada. All right, Fantom, Fantom Foundation responds, quickly addressed the community's concern, assuring them that the exit of the developers would have no negative impact on the project's growth. We're extremely grateful to Andre for all he did for crypto as a whole. However, Fantom isn't and never was a one-man team. There are 40 plus people working at Fantom. So there you guys have it. Stop freaking out about Fantom.
I wonder why they're both stepping down at the same time, though. It seems interesting because ultimately everything's down right now. We got a lot of chaos going on. People are getting letters from the freaking SEC right now. I just wonder. I think it's fear. It makes me wonder.
Yeah. I think it's fear. I think it might be like, hey, let's take our earnings while we can and bail out, right? Look what Charlie Lee with Litecoin did. Sold pretty much the top, right? And a lot of project people just do this and they get tired. I mean, these people are so big. They work on a project for a certain amount of time, right? Even outside of the fear or whatever, they work on a project for a certain amount of time. They get it to a certain growth, right? And then they, instead of like selling the company like they would traditionally, they just exit the space. They've already made their money back with whatever holdings they had in the project, or they just continue holding their Fantom token, knowing that it's going to continue going up. Or they might sell right before the news comes out, it dumps, then they buy back in, right? And then they'll move on to another project, and they know that they can make that other project also successful again. So they just move on. These people don't stay too long in one place.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to see some more on that. I wonder what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be fine overall. I think Fantom's gonna continue working. It's DeFi and all the things happening on Fantom will have a jump back. Yes, Fantom dropped now, but there's just so much fear and uncertainty in general throughout the entire crypto space that it's not a surprise that it dropped as massively it did. And it might not have an instant bounce back, but that's just because of the state of the market, not because of the state of the news.
Have we got any news on anyone in particular that's been getting these letters from the SEC? I'm sure you've heard this, right?
Yes.
That there are projects that are getting letters from the SEC. Basically, I don't know if they're like cease and desist letters or what they actually are, but have we got any details on who has got these letters?
I haven't seen any details of anybody specific that would have gotten these letters just yet. Right. So let's move on to the next one, the sanctions of Bitcoin. Where is it?
I wish I could see the chat. How many people we got up in here right now?
We got 22 people right now. Let's take a quick little gander at the chat.
We better have at least 22 likes, guys. Come on now. This is simple.
Yeah, guys.
This is day one stuff, right? Get in there, hit the like, make sure you subscribe, tell your friends, do all the great things that we love to see.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's just saying what's up. Everybody's excited to see us here. Nothing crazy. Somebody says, fan of the show. Glad to catch you live. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the support, guys. Keep smashing those likes, dropping those comments. Drop me a 1 right now. Drop me a 1 if you're bullish for this crypto space, or drop me a 2 if you're bearish for this crypto space, guys. Let's blow up the chat. Let's get the engagement rolling and bring this video out there to more people. In the meantime,
drop me a recommendation in the chat for some sort of bug repellent for no-see-ums. So if you've got that, you drop that in the chat. I need to hear it because I'm getting eaten alive. Dude, these things are eating me alive.
Well, in Spanish, they're called hang.
What? I've never heard that. Hang?
Yes, that's what they're called.
Really?
In Cuban Spanish, that's what they're called.
Hang.
Yes, hang. And dude, they're the most annoying little bugs out there.
I'm telling you. I'm even in a screened-in porch right now, and
they don't stop them. Not in Florida.
That's right. They still find their way.
You got to grow thicker skin out here to survive. So let me find this. Okay, sanctions right here. Boom, bam, slam. So Sanctions as a driver of Bitcoin adoption. So this basically is going to really be talking about Russia, right? We understand that was what's happening with Russia. Everyone's expecting Russia to jump into Bitcoin, buy up a bunch of Bitcoin, start adopting Bitcoin as their massive currency to be able to sustain their economy, since the ruble has literally dropped 60% against the Bitcoin, right? Um, just
And
just
Bitcoin
today,
and Bitcoin's been taking a big hit too. So
yeah,
that means we've got a big hit on the ruble.
exactly right. Just today on Monday alone, it dropped 26% against the Bitcoin. Just today, dude. So it's massive, right? So now everyone's expecting that this is going to be their adoption curve, and Bitcoin's going to go through the stratosphere, right? I've said this before as well, that this is a good case to adopt Bitcoin, but it's
Yeah,
not
for
just
sure.
about the sanctions. We've also seen the people in Ukraine and what they've been dealing with, which is running away from their hometown, trying to take whatever assets they can, and they obviously can't take the real estate with them. They can't take whatever other hard assets they have. You know, you try taking a bag of gold over a border, I'm sure you're not going to make it to the other side with that bag of gold. So here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. For the last few years, Bitcoin's existence, wow, that's a typo. The dominant narrative circulating in this ecosystem that has been the digital scarcity and sound money. While the narrative of censorship resistant payments has by no means disappeared, in my opinion, and has become slowly eclipsed over the last few years by the mantra of digital gold and digital scarcity. Yeah, I'm going to skip this because it sounds like a big opinion piece. So over here, sanctions. Sanctions are one of America's most important tools of coercing compliance with its political demands around the world. They can take many forms, such as diplomatic sanctions, where political ties are severed, military sanctions, where strategic military strikes or weapon embargoes are enacted, even strangely preventing sports competitions with the sanctioned countries, which they've done to Russia as well. They took them off, I believe, FIFA. But the most effective and damaging type of sanction is economic. This can take the form of preventing import and export of specific goods and services. At the most extreme, complete restriction of all trade and commerce, including the targeted entity. Economic sanctions can be targeted against entire countries, yada, yada, yada. This is a great point, right? We're talking about Bitcoin Bitcoin being the savior to Russia because Russia has been sanctioned to death. And it's not true. The CEO of Binance, which I covered in my earlier video today, basically stated that there are 350 banks in Russia, yet only a dozen of them are on the sanctions list. So the grand
Yeah.
majority are not. So they're not technically being sanctioned to death. And 99.7% of the money runs in those 350 banks. Only 0.3% of the money comes from crypto. And now all the focus has shifted into crypto is the sanction invasion tactic, and we need to focus so heavily on crypto. What happened to the other 99.7% of the money that we're not focusing on? Why
Yeah.
are we focusing on 0.3% of the money? What do you think
Yeah,
about
but
that?
well, I mean, let's be fair. If we're going to talk about it, we're actively still buying freaking gold. We're still actively buying oil from Russia right now.
Yep,
So
exactly.
so we can say that we're sanctioning them, but at the same time, they are still continuing to bring in income, if you want to call it that, from our from our monies, right? And if we really wanted to put the hammer down on them, that would be a quote cease and desist, like no more, zero, because the reality is we don't need their oil. So my question becomes, why are we continuing to buy it? I don't know. I think it's funny. I think that it seems like, just like, we're famous for right now, we are positioning to look a certain way. We're saying, hey, we've got all these sanctions going on, this, that, and the third, but we're sanctioning, like you said, 12 of the 300 banks or whatever the number is. We're still buying oil from Russia. It just doesn't make any sense. We're half stepping, if you ask me.
Yeah, dude, I definitely think there's a lot of other things at play. I think this thing is a big diversion to distract us from other things happening. and they're using this thing to really have to spin the narrative on crypto once again being this negative player in the space, saying because the minute that this happened, Elizabeth Warren, Hillary Clinton, all these people started coming out for we need restrictions on these centralized exchanges to knock down users. Coinbase came out today, also covered it in my video earlier today. Go check that out, guys. 25,000 users got knocked off Coinbase, right? For because they were linked to illicit activity, meaning they're not even proven to be guilty. They just suspect, like the Minority Report, they suspect that you're gonna do something wrong or that you've done something wrong, and you're canceled. You're done. You're out of here.
What they do with their crypto? Do you know what they
didn't say what they do with the crypto, but I'm assuming it's going to be something like they do in a regular case. They just freeze your account. You can't withdraw, you can't deposit, and your money's just stuck there. So take your money off exchanges, guys. Get decentralized. I literally put it on a tweet. Final warning: get decentralized, get private. You're not going to get another warning.
We've been talking about this. We've been talking about this for a while, guys. I mean, ultimately, I think a lot of times when people hear you and I talk about political issues, I think they joke around and say, "Oh, better put on my tinfoil hat. Nick and Miguel are going at it again." Well, the reality is, guys, there's no tinfoil hats to be had. This is happening, right? This is absolutely happening right now, and it's scary. I mean, it again, just like Miguel always compares it to a pressure cooker. They've got the pressure cooker heated up. They're hitting the release valve a little bit here or there, and ultimately they're going to see how far they can push this for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Let's keep going into this article, see what else we've got in this article. So, gonna skip ahead a little bit here. So we got Iran mining and invasion, right? We also know that Iran also got into the crypto game. They are also mining Bitcoin, I believe, down there, and we know that it was in 2019. However, the Iranian government legalized and regulated crypto mining in the country for a massive influx of miners attracted to their abundant, cheap natural gases. We also know that Russia did this as well right before this whole scenario kicked off. So obviously, he's been studying what the other countries have been doing for Bitcoin and sees the adoption of Bitcoin being a positive for their country.
Yeah.
So down here it says, if sanctions are not lifted, it's highly likely that the Iranian government will continue to expand their role in Bitcoin mining to maximize the amount of energy reserves that could be converted into Bitcoin in order to have means to pay for imports. This is exactly what Russia is trying to do as well. Have enough fuel in the tank to continue being able to exist and what's the word? Finance things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So down here, finally, sanctions as an adoption driver. The most important property of Bitcoin is the ability to transact when people do not want you to. Censorship resistance. That is not just an important property for individuals. It doesn't just matter. It doesn't just matter for drug dealers or political activists. It matters for entire nation states. It matters for entire populations. Every time a nation state levies sanctions against another, whether against the whole industries or specific companies, that has a downstream ripple effect on everyone tied to those entities. It prevents revenue for sanctioned entities themselves. An oil company that cannot export as much oil as it did prior to sanctions takes a hit to their bottom line. And this is the good point here, is that the people of Russia didn't decide to go to war.
Yes.
Right?
You're right.
Putin decided to go to war, and now the entire country is under sanctions. Their native currency has dropped 60% against Bitcoin, has dropped 26% in one day. Complete, just losing your money from one day to the next. And they're the ones feeling the hurt. They're the ones lining up for the breadlines. They're the ones starving. They're the ones dealing with this sanction pain.
Yeah.
The government's not going to feel that pain. The elites of that country, they've got plenty of money in reserves. They got assets all around the world. They've got things locked up and set up for all kinds of rainy days. They don't have to worry about things like this. So when they tell you that they're going to come after the elites, the Putin's cronies, that's BS. They're not going to do anything to touch those people because they can't, because those people know how to set up themselves in a way where they can't be touched no matter what is going on in their country.
And I like how it said, that ultimately the beauty and the power in Bitcoin and other cryptos, but Bitcoin in particular here, is not only that every single person can transact when others don't want them to, but large entities like a government can also do it. And I think that that's super important, because the reality is, if I have a way to transfer value from point A to point B, and I don't have to have someone to give me freaking permission, not only that, if I don't have a way for that transfer of value to go, that transfer of wealth value, whatever you want to call it, if there's no way to stop it, if there's no way to cut it off, then you literally have full financial freedom. It is a fact. If everyone in the United States, let's just use the United States as an example, accepted Bitcoin as if it were just like a dollar, right? Then we literally, and if you extrapolate this out, we could literally, if we held on our own hardware wallets, we became our own banks, and we transacted peer to peer, we now no longer need anyone's permission to freaking do anything. You can be standing at the store trying to make a transaction, right? Like I think I was at IKEA a while ago, and I made like a $7,000 transaction, and the lady's like, cards declined, and I was like, no, it's not. And then I was like, yeah, hold on a second. Let me call my bank and ask permission to spend my own damn money. And yeah, I think that Bitcoin solves this type of thing.
Yeah, and it also solves the problem of being seized, right? The whole scenario that we talked about, you're leaving your country, you can't take your gold with you. They're going to mug you down the street, right? It's how are you going to lug around all your gold? That's the best asset you can take as money, and it's really difficult to transport over long distances, and especially in times of crisis. Bitcoin is just a seed phrase on a wallet somewhere. You can throw the wallet away and just remember the seed phrase, and when you get to the next place where you feel safe, you pull out your seed phrase, you enter it into your wallet, bam, bam, slam, there's your Bitcoin, there's all your money with you. Without a problem, right? If you can even take your phone, right? You can take your phone with your app. You scan your phone anywhere, and you can transfer Bitcoin. You can transfer crypto from one place to the next. Pay anybody, and what are they gonna do? Steal your phone?
It's true freedom, man. I really do. I didn't see it when I first read the Bitcoin Standard. I loved that it truly broke down the value that was in Bitcoin, and basically it extrapolates out. If you guys haven't read that book, you need to read it. It extrapolates out. Ask Heidi, if Heidi's in the chat. Heidi, you better have read it since we sent it to you. You better have read it. And it extrapolates out really what money is. And ultimately, true freedom with that money does and can come from something like Bitcoin, and we need it. I mean, it absolutely works.
And that this makes the United States scared. They're scared that their power of sanctions over other countries could disappear if people realize, like, oh wait, we don't have control. Things are not under our control, and they can get around us no matter what. And they don't want that narrative out there. They want the narrative of, we got the centralized exchanges under control. We're going to bottleneck everything. We're going to weaponize it. And, we have Coinbase ready to comply whenever we need to. But there are decentralized exchanges. There are ways to be decentralized. There are ways to be private. And they are worried about that.
So let's talk about that real quick. So if they bottleneck it to that degree, and they basically take all the centralized, the fiat on-ramps and the fiat off-ramps, and they basically make them a no-fly zone because they just do not want this going any further. Ultimately, this is really simple, though. What has to happen is everyone, it doesn't even need to be everyone, but the majority of people need to do what Miguel, like if Miguel wanted to send me Bitcoin right now, and then he said, hey, send me this and I'll send you some Bitcoin. Hell yeah, let's do it, right? And if everyone has that agreement that, hey, the Bitcoin is one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, and it brings this much value, then guess what? Doesn't even matter. You don't even need the fiat on-ramps and off-ramps at that point. And what they're thinking is, well, if we stop it now and we take the fiat on-ramps and off-ramps off the table, then people aren't going to know what to do. Well, the reality is the true people in crypto that have really learned what value they hold and being their own bank, well, the heck you don't, because ultimately, if I have other people that agree with me on what it's worth, boom, bam, slam, let's get it done. We don't even need it anymore, period, end of discussion. We don't need the fiat on-ramp and off-ramp if we're able to move to that level of transaction,
Yeah, and I don't think they're ever going to take down the fiat on-ramps or off-ramps. I think what they're trying to do is they're just trying to control it, right? If you are found, they're gonna have to be whitelisting all your addresses. They want to know exactly where you're sending your money off the centralized exchange. Right, those are going to eventually be requirements. They want to make sure that they're tracking IP addresses. In the article about Coinbase earlier today, they mentioned it. They're tracking IP addresses. If you are in any nation that is under any certain type of sanctions, you might not be allowed to join on the exchange. You're not be able to sign up. You might not be able to use it, right? If you have assets on there and you yourself are on a special type of list, you might get your account frozen. And all these things, they're trying to do the same thing that they do with banks, where they suck you in. Look how comfortable and convenient this place is. Use this, and now that you're in here, it's like a fly trap, right? Boom, they slam the trap on you whenever they want, and you got all your money frozen. If you use fiat on ramps to just on ramp and get out, you're going to be good, because you're going to have your money on other exchanges, on other wallets, and they're not going to be able to stop you. And that's what they don't want you to do. They want you to stay centralized. Let them have custody over your crypto.
Yeah, and ultimately they do want it for tax purposes. You're right. So if they did shut it, you're right, Miguel. If they did shut it all the way down, then they're basically saying, okay, we're going to allow you to transact in value, but we're not going to have a way to tax you, and that doesn't work. So you're right.
Exactly.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump into this last one here. This is the meat and potatoes that everybody's been waiting for. So if you are excited right now for 165K Bitcoin, smash the likes, drop a 1 in the chat if you're excited for 165K. Share the live with your friends. Let's blow it up, guys. So here we go. 165K Bitcoin. Let me pull this up. Bam, here we are. Okay, so the bullish scenario that puts Bitcoin at 165K before 22K. So let's see what it is.
Let's go. Look at that bull. Look at that bull, baby.
Oh, you see it? You see it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So Bitcoin is still quite bullish over the long term, despite all the bearish short-term trends. That's exactly right. Tony bearish in the short term, baby. Trends being recorded recently, it is still one of the most promising investment options in the space, with growth speculated to skyrocket in the next 5 years. Yes, guys, the next Bitcoin halving is in 2024. We are literally halfway there. Through all the recent downtrend, there have been widespread concerns that the cryptocurrency has officially entered another stretched out bear market. I don't believe it. So the current bearish climate does nothing to deter bulls, as there are still various scenarios, yada, yada, yada. The one discussed in this article sees the digital asset growing at least another 300% before the expected decline to 20K level. So here we go. The argument that Bitcoin is headed for 20K range is stronger now more than ever. 100%. Everybody is super bearish right now, following another decline below 40K. There is significant support at the asset at 36, 38K level, but with the sell-offs and bears working overtime to pull down the price, expectations have skewed largely in favor of seeing Bitcoin touch 30K in the near term. That is 100% true. People are super bearish, dude.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So for a crypto analyst only identified as DeFi, I guess. It's DeFi was spelled with I. Yeah. Yeah. Weird. Going by the 200-week SMA trend historically, Bitcoin has still not found the top. Previously, Bitcoin has lost about 85% of its total all-time high value following the bull market. However, a drop to 20K range would go against previous trends. The trend is your friend until the end, my friends. Remember that. Through all bear markets, Bitcoin still has not fallen below the 200-week SMA, which an 85 correction down from 69K would break. So that's what they're saying. That if 69K was the top and we still have a 85% correction like we normally do, we would drop below this 200-week SMA, and that would be a trend. That would be a broken trend that has existed for Bitcoin his entire existence. Right. So here we have a chart. We see Bitcoin 85% drop from all-time high, touches this 2-week SMA, hovers over it for a while, eventually takes off, gets really far away from it, drops 85%, right? And then just has his moments of up and down, touching it and jumping off of it, getting really far away from it, and then coming back down.
What's it put it at, like 13K?
I don't know what it puts it out an 85% drop from 69K. I don't know what the math is. You're the Rain Man. You do the math.
It is. It's right around there. Go ahead.
So
Continue.
with the chart right here, it's pretty much showing that we should hit a 65K top, then have an 85% pullback, and we would touch this 200 SMA again, and that would put us between 25K to 22K bottom. That's where we would put us
like
at.
11K.
So that's where it's at. This trend has never broken before. Lots of things have changed.
And it would be breaking by a lot. It would
Huh?
be breaking by a lot, Miguel. It would be breaking by a lot if that happened. It's like 11K. I did the math. It's like 11K. That would literally be 50% lower than that previous trend that had been already broken. That would be nuts.
Yeah, exactly. It's massive. So, like I said, Bitcoin has never broken below 200 week SMA. So, if the digital asset were to keep to previous trends, Bitcoin would need to rise much higher than a 69K all-time high. Yada yada yada, and it's just basically going over the same thing over and over. So that is what it is, right? And it's true. There's a lot of things that in this bull market now we said are different. But at the same time, we were always saying that's what we're always going to expect. We're always going to expect it to be different this time. Yes, things have been very confusing, right? With world problems, inflation, geopolitical situations, whatever. It's been a crazy time, and it's only going to get crazier. But we also expected that, right? We were talking about it with CV all the time. The confusion. We're going to be all kinds of confused as we get closer to the top. And that's where you become either a bag holder, or you miss the top, or you sell out too early because of all the confusion. So could it be possible for 165K before the 22K? It could be. It could be, right? I mean,
I've heard people say, I actually heard Ben say this. I've heard a couple people say this, that basically dollar cost averaging is lazy, right? And I totally disagree with it. I think dollar cost averaging and continuing to hold, right, hodling, diamond handing is actually, I believe, as I really zoom out, we always tell you guys to zoom out. I believe as I zoom out, it is the safest way for you to be able to guarantee, as much of a guarantee as you could possibly have, right, that these massive, basically turning something into something much greater. Because the reality is, we talk about this all the time, we don't know. And if you don't know right now what's going on, but you do believe that you really do know that some way, shape, or form in the next 10 years, it is going to be insanely higher, why are we so focused on the day-to-day? Miguel and I are focused on the day-to-day because obviously we have this show, right? We've got our academy, which, by the way, if you guys want to get involved in that, it's crypto.academy. Check us out over there. Those are the reasons that we're involved in the day-to-day. But the reality is, the macro look at the markets are, hey, 2030, I'm going to be, in 2030, I'm going to be 46 years old, and I'm going to be sitting on a beach sipping a Mai Tai somewhere. In 2030, I'll be 46.
Only 46?
Shut up.
I thought you were up there with like Peter Schiff or something. I thought you went to school with that guy.
Hold on a second. Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, 2030 is what, 8 years from now? Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'll be 40. I'll be 45. But ultimately, what I'm getting at is, we all believe, and I think if you're still here right now, if you are in the markets right now, if you're watching the show right now, that tells me that you are one of the committed. If you guys have paid attention, the numbers on the shows have dropped, not just ours, right? Jebb's, Ben's. I've talked to the other guys about it, the other creators about it. Everything has dropped. So if you're here right now, it means you're one of the real ones. So welcome, right? Welcome. And if we are in a bear market, listen, it's not easy. Miguel and I have been through one before. If you haven't been through one before, they suck. But they are the opportunity that allows you to prepare for the blast off that ultimately is going to happen. And the reality is, you do have people that are writing articles that say 165 before 22. You'll also flip to the next page and you'll see an article that says, hey, we're going to 11K in the next couple months, flat out, no matter what, no more. I mean, people are all over the place. So facts are, long-term dollar cost averaging works, and is going to put you in a position to win.
Yeah, and if people haven't heard just yet, JP Morgan owns a large stake in the whole Ethereum consensus system. So these mega banks, these mega institutions are not just investing in the asset and they're like, oh, we're going to dump it. They're literally owning the technology. They are owning the corporations behind the technology. So they're in it for the long term. They're in it to hold on to it because they know the potential of it. Yes, could this lead to a big corruption of what Ethereum and DeFi is? Very possible. 100%. I will no longer call it Ethereum. I'll just call it JP Morgan from now on. That's the JP Morgan poster I got back there. But it shows you that these people are in it, right, for the long term. They show you that they have the commitment and that they understand the value. They recognize the opportunity. And that is how you make life-changing money. That is how you make money in general, is identifying opportunities, identifying an opportunity when the market is down, when the time is to take some profits or selling, right? Determining an opportunity where a technology is far superior than anything else out there, and it could definitely revolutionize the rest of the world. And it has been. Look how far Bitcoin has come in the last 13 years of its life, that today on Around the Blockchain, we're literally comparing it to oil. Also, you think about the correlation between Bitcoin and the oil around the world. Bitcoin, the digital fake money of the internet that nobody wanted 13 years ago, is now on a show with 1.5 million subscribers being watched and asked if it's correlated to oil, how it's going to do. Come on, guys. Like it's a short period of time. And look where it's at already. Look what it's doing. Look at the companies behind it. Look at what is happening. Russia evading sanctions from the United States with Bitcoin, people running away and holding Bitcoin because their digital currency is their native currency is crashing. People saving other people in Ukraine by donating millions of dollars in Bitcoin because
like
centralized exchanges
now.
Because centralized exchanges like GoFundMe or whatever it was, Patreon didn't want people donating money for that because they don't want to donate money to those certain things. So Bitcoin is literally solving all kinds of problems. It's just the narrative gets focused on the negative to keep things suppressed. Focus on the positives. They far outshine the negatives.
There's a reason that we say question everything and trust nothing.
Trust nothing.
That's literally, there's a reason for that. So Crypto fam, listen, we appreciate each and every one of you for being here tonight. Thank you for letting me dive in for an evening on vacay. Not sure if I'll be here tomorrow night or not, but I will be back. I'll be back on Thursday for sure. So thank you guys for letting me jump in. Miguel, question everything.
Trust nothing.
And until next time, hodl
like it's hot.
We'll see you soon.